Arlington West started as an offshoot of the marches against the Iraq War before it even started, because a lot of us knew the war was wrong, and we knew we were being lied to. And so we did what we could. We demonstrated against it. And then Steve Sherrill made a statement of, was it 370 crosses that he put out on the beach. I believe it became a memorial after we painted the crosses white, and a mom wrote her son's name on one. Then we put the names as you see it is now. And at this point, around 1,600 names of all those have been visited by family, friends, or combat buddies. So to them, it's a memorial. Sometimes people are doubtful about what some people who come to visit are doubtful about what our purpose is. But after we put flowers out and we show a lot of respect, often they say, thanks. But it's still a very strong statement against war, against this war. I believe wars are necessary. I don't believe in wars for profit, and I think this is one of the big reasons for this war. And I also feel very strongly about supporting the troops, but not the leaders all the way up the chain. A lot of people have left things, and we're very careful to keep them together with the name. And you know, we've got watches and dog tags, and we had one guy come in he had a lot of buddies there, and he cut the patches off of his shoulder to put on the crosses of his friends. And one instance we had a Marine from Pendleton came up, and he walked through and found 29 names of people he recognized. And that was early on. That was like 2.5 years into the event, into the war. People leave mementos, pictures, and people have written poems. And so, you know, most people see it as a memorial.
All the way around. Lily, you're going to follow Greg all the way around the side. Thank you very much.
Loss is something definitely different after you've been deployed, because when you're here and you walk around, that's not something that's on your mind all the time. But when you're over there, it's imminent. It's around you, and any second of any day, someone can be gone. One of my jobs in Iraq was I was in charge of the memorial wall. So anytime we had someone pass away, someone get wounded or anything like that, I would get their names, get their packets, and basically information about them. And it just became really real to me, even if I didn't know the person. You have their entire life on paper in front of you, and we have to tell their family what happened. And it's not just another picture and another name on the wall. It's someone that's a dad, sister, mom, son, daughter, and it's so real. And when you experience loss over there, I had one of my really, really good friends pass away in Iraq. And the only way you could really deal with it is to not think about it, because you have to go on with what you're doing, because you're in Iraq, because there's a mission, because you have to just do what you're told. And if something happens, someone dies, you still got to keep going. There's no time for you to stop and think about what actually happened. So the way I dealt with it is I did it. And I remember when it happened, one of my friends started crying, and I told her to go back to the tent and do that on her own time, because we didn't have time for that right now. And I noticed that I started getting really distant with myself every time we had a loss. Before, I would read all their information and read their biography and things like that. And then later I realized that I just wrote their name down, what happened to them, their birth date, information, because I had to write their biography, just the important information, and I put it there, and it just didn't even affect me more because I didn't even think about it. And another job that I had was I had to go to the memorial ceremonies. I had to drive my sergeant major and the colonel to the memorial ceremonies. Before I would go in, and you would listen to all these guys talk about how wonderful this soldier, this hero was for, everything that they did for the unit and how they fought so bravely. And then it just really hits a spot inside your heart. And then you can't really go on with life. I know that after going to one of those, I would be depressed for a couple of days. But the thing is, we had at least one person get killed in my unit every week. And imagining going through that every single week, you just aren't really with yourself anymore. That part of you is completely detached from yourself.
So bringing it home, I think, is a most important lesson. So the sight of all those crosses on what otherwise would be a beach that people would go sunbathe and stroll along and rent a kayak stops a number of people short. Not everybody. Many people choose to look the other way, or simply don't quite know what it is and don't bother to look. But for many people, it kind of stops them in their tracks, and they think,
and when I see come over their faces, I can see their mind embracing this idea of sacrifice, death, war, and taking it in from an image and processing it. And that's, to me, the most thrilling success of Arlington West, is to see people taking it into their hearts and into their minds, and being, in that sense, recipients of an experience that they wouldn't have otherwise had, that gives them pause for thought. And I think the most gratifying thing about this experience in the end is how public attitudes towards the war changed gradually over the months, over the years, from a rather thoughtless embrace of it to a deep understanding of that at the very least it's complicated and messy and that there are costs to it. I think that the American public has really learned something.